Lisa Marie Presley. Nice to see you. Lisa, well, hey, how are you?
I'm lovely, thank you.
Thank you for coming on the programme.
Thanks for having me.
Do you ever regret being born Elvis's kid, the fact that he was your father?
No, because I mean everything has its you know, I don't know any different, and I wouldn't regret that. There's good and bad with everything. It's, you know, everyone has their own mountain to climb.
Yeah. Oh, it must have been quite an exceptional childhood, I thought. I know you can't compare it to any other because it's the only one you know, but it must have been quite exceptional. What are your fondest memories? What are the...
You know, you'd think it would, well, there's a lot of them. I mean, being a kid, I was kind of struggling back and forth between being completely unsupervised to very regimented, so it was kind of a...
Because when did your folks split up? You were how old then?
I think 4 or 5.
And so, and your mum, Priscilla, she went to Los Angeles, is that correct?
Yes.
And your dad still lived in Memphis?
Right.
And so you went between the two of them occasionally?
Yeah.
And when you were with him in Graceland, I guess, he used to sleep through much of the day, didn't he? I believe. And why was that? Because he was working in the evenings and just partying and stuff?
Nocturnal, yeah.
Yeah. So what were you doing as a kid, running around in the house during the daytime? I mean, that must have been...
A lot, probably things I shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah. Such as?
Throwing things at fans, you know, terrible, bad,
Throwing
bad,
things
bad.
at
It was
fags.
terrible. Fans, not fags. No.
Yeah, but, well, no. Although some of them, they may have crossed over. They might have been...
No, they'd be on the fence, you know,
Yeah.
and then I would be, I was a kid and I had a little group of friends. And
But they must have been so excited to see you, I guess. It must have been, even throwing stuff at them must have been fun for them.
Yeah, well, this was my worst period. Let's not, like, label me as the
No,
I was a bit tyrannical as a child, but then I straightened myself
Because I
out
imagine the
somewhat.
people who worked in the house, they must have been a bit scarier, because suddenly...
Probably.
Yeah, because you could go and tell Dad and they were out the next day.
Yeah, I had a little bit of that happening.
But that must have been great to have that power as a kid.
Yeah, but I lost it, you know, so then I had to sort of fend for myself.
Yeah. One thing that struck me, and I was thinking about meeting you today, was most of us, if we lose someone close to us, you know, you move on and then you remember them as and when you want. And you have a say of that. You have a choice in that matter. For you, I guess, that isn't really something which you have, because it's probably more so now than when he was alive. It's impossible to avoid his image. You know, you go in any newsagent, you go in any kind of like a memorabilia store, you turn on the TV, there he is.
Right.
Is that difficult for you? Is that strange?
No, it's not difficult. I've come to terms with that very early on, you know. I'm just trying to do my thing and not necessarily go up against that or compete with that or any of that, you know. I'm sort of just doing what I felt was instinctive to me, so I kind of got accustomed to that very early.
You do, of course, you look like him, of course. You've grown to look like him, I think, more in recent years. Which is a good thing, because let's face it, he's a good-looking fella.
Right.
My wife is beginning to resemble her father, which isn't such good news, seeing as he's quite a small, balding Jewish businessman.
Right.
How old are you now? Can I ask you that?
35.
35. You've been married, what, 3 times? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Most of them fairly short-lived, I believe.
6 years, 2 years, 3 months.
Okay.
So they're going shorter. Next one will be a month and a half.
Yeah, and then after that, you just have a revolving door and go straight...
I need one, you're right.
And your first marriage, I know, is the one that gave you your children, which is obviously... And I believe you're still close to
Yeah,
the
best
husband,
friends.
Danny, is that right?
Yeah.
And the second marriage was Michael Jackson. Okay, now we've all done things which seem like a good idea at the time. But with the benefit of hindsight, that must... What do you make of that period of your life?
You know, that was... See, let me just say this. I'm not in a usual situation, okay? I'm like female, the celebrity, the money, the whole thing. It's backwards with me. So when I'm with somebody that doesn't necessarily have a big scene or enough confidence, then it's going to overpower them. That creates resentment. That's a problem. So the next step was go somewhere where they're, you know, the same as or bigger. So that was that, you know. The attraction was probably also me hiding behind the fact that I didn't want to deal with, didn't really want to be in the limelight particularly or have to do anything on my own. So it was easier for me to sort of be a female and sort of stand behind somebody.
So someone who's bigger than you even?
Bigger than me, yeah. So that was that, for me, psychologically speaking. And then, you know, you sort of watch me go find my way in that realm.
Yeah. Do you get the feeling, I mean, at the time, you know, I didn't know the ins and outs of the
This is
relationship.
a very deep conversation we're having.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's just between us. Don't even look
Right.
over there. But no, because I am genuinely fascinated by this. And,
Okay.
you know, do you feel afterwards that he was using you, that there was something there whereby you served a need for him at that particular time?
I don't know. I don't know for sure, but it looked a little odd. Yeah.
Yeah, it does after the event, doesn't it?
Yes.
But at the time, I really got the feeling from you that genuinely you were in the moment, you were living it, and for you there was no deception involved. It's certainly, you were not part of something, were you? I got the feeling that you were...
You mean me deliberately being part of something?
It was a proper marriage to you, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah. It started out that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the interview that was conducted with him by Martin Bashir, the British journalist? What did you make of that?
Well, it broke the week I went on my first radio tour, so I was kind of...
So that was fun. So you got asked that everywhere you went.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought it looked manipulative. Honestly, I thought it was manipulated.
Did you feel sorry for Jackson?
I felt like it was unfair. You know, I'm not like I thought that, you know, if you're following someone around for 8 months and you're going to condense that into 2 hours, you can manipulate anything you want and edit it any way you want. So I thought it was a bit over the top on that front.
I must admit, I came away from it actually liking Jackson a lot more and intentionally disliking Martin Bashir.
Right.
And I suspect that was pretty much par for the course.
Right.
What do you think was the deal, though, with the baby on the balcony? Well, that was...
God.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on television.
Funny?
Yeah, I just thought that was hilarious.
Really?
Well, it was funny. Come on, he didn't drop the kid. What harm did it do, really? Just you know, it's a big fuss over it. We've all done things with our children occasionally and caught them, dropped them, and then, it happens.
Right.
It toughens them up.
Right.
7 stories,
Oh,
fine.
God. Right.
He probably had someone underneath who would catch him.
Of course.
Are you in touch with anymore? I guess not.
No.
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 Are you going to be performing live? Are you going to do this stuff live?
Yeah, I'm doing it live. I've been doing it live in the USA. So.
And how was that? How was that the first time you went out there?
Well, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The first gig was in front of the biggest critic there ever. And then the second one was Good Morning America. Third was David Letterman. And fourth live show was Jay Leno.
You said the biggest critic ever. Who was that?
Robert Hilburn.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
LA Times.
Okay, well, you shouldn't worry about him. We've never heard of him over here.
Okay.
Did he like it? Did he like what you did? Or
He gave me a good review.
He gave you a good review. In that case, we think he's a good fella.
Okay.
When you come back, are you coming back in the country later in the year?
Yes.
You'll be playing over here?
I'm sure at some point I will.
Would you come on the show and do a song for us?
Certainly.
I would like to hear you perform live as well. You know, I mean, it's like it is a good album. It kind of reminded me, I don't know if you like it, sort of Sheryl Crow feel to it. It had that kind of rock stuff like that. I know the album's out in July, the single's out in June. I wish you the best of luck with it. I am genuinely delighted to meet you. Like everyone, I'm sure you must be tired of this, but I was, a fan of your dad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a good
Thanks for having me.
stay.